Travel and Things in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions presents In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and I'm joined today by one of this duo to chat about their new book, Madam and Eve Unmasked. And my guest today is none other than Rico. Rico, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks. It's that time of the year again. It's annual time.
Yes, it is. We've been doing this. I think it's over 30th or 32nd annual. We've been producing annuals for a long time.
Do you just never learn?
Yeah, you could say that. I think our subject matter has never learned, so we always have material.
I was about to say, you guys are never short of material. Just when you think the nonsense has stopped, it starts again.
The nonsense never. It's like load shedding. The nonsense never stops. It's it's a perpetual. I guess it's the way of life. It's always like this. Satirists always have grist for the mill, have material. Thank goodness. And we still enjoy doing it.
Is there stuff that you won't satirize?
There is. There's things that either, like sort of extreme violence or things that just don't work, or we can't do with any sort of either respect for the victims, things that just aren't funny, or just doesn't work in the tone, fit into the tone of the comic strip and the characters. So there are things we don't, it's not because we censored or afraid to touch it, it just doesn't work, leave it to the editorial cartoonist, for instance.
The subject matter with Madam and Eve over the years, the book is beautifully put together, I must say. And my first go-to is always your color cartoons, which you've stuck in the middle of the book this time. They seem to be more black and white than color. Am I correct?
And that's just a cost issue with the printing. We produce cartoons. All our cartoons are done in color these days. It's just, to produce the whole book in color just becomes a little bit expensive. So we just make a small selection of like a little insert section in the middle that, they're just sort of the ones that work best in color. And so
basically a token color cartoon.
Sort of, yes.
Take us through. I see you have on the back of the book some blurb from a variety of different sources about the annual, one of which is from the Wall Street Journal. I was stunned and amazed. The most popular cartoon strip in South Africa. I agree with that. But kudos from the Wall Street Journal for you guys.
That's quotes actually from an interview many years back. We just keep it, we just put it back on. I think in the late 90s, they interviewed, when South Africa was the thing du jour, and the Rainbow Nation. A lot of did quite a few, and also around 2010, we did quite a few press interviews. So I'm not sure entirely when that's from. That when the World Cup was on, we were like, big on news, and people were looking for light stories, so they interviewed us quite a few times.
Do you and Stephen have a favorite cartoon that's in this book, or is it like, when you've got children, which is your favorite child? Well, you can't really say specifically. The other one is listening.
Not really. It varies, and it also varies between ourselves. That it's because we produce new ones all the time. There's a few that sort of over the years, stand out. But we've done so many, it's really hard to hard to pick. It's like.
I think,
and also it's a very subjective thing, things often we, because we get that social media feedback. I'm going, this is the cleverest cartoon, and people go, read it, it's okay, and then some one of those, that you just, because you have so many to do, you have sort of these filler. They're still funny, but these filler kind of, that's not, and then people go, that's the best cartoon ever, and so contact, you never know.
Things like your Hadedas, and I have a nesting pair of Hadedas that live in the property next door. And every year their fledglings fall into our garden and sort of wander around until they can fly and leave. Do you think the Hadedas are ever going to be, or their position in your cartoon will ever be usurped by Indian miners, which seem to be making a comeback?
No, well, Indian miners are sort of the street thugs of birds, I think the Hadedas with that Indian miners are sort of the street gangs of the bird world, and Hadedas are, they just have more characters, with the beaks and their calls and their stuff. And that's something I think Hadedas should be the national bird anyway. And they're just the source, and we love them. And we started using them occasionally, and they kind of write themselves in, every now and then we kind of, oh no, we could have a bit of fun with them.
That and the Mielie Lady.
Yes. Mielie Ladies are still, I don't know if they're still in your neighborhood.
No.
We used to have one before COVID, but not anymore, no.
No, that seems to be long gone. But what we do have, and I don't think it's ever, or maybe I'm wrong, I don't think it's ever featured in a cartoon of yours, is one of those ice cream vans. We have two that patrol our suburb, playing cam down races over and over and over again.
It's that same tape since 1978 that's like stretched.
I've got news to you.
Actually, we don't have one. It's a good point, actually.
It's pre-1978 because my parents used to lie to me. They said if the music's playing, it means that the thing is out of ice cream. So I would never.
That's child abuse.
It is indeed. I'm still having therapy because of it.
Yeah, true. Actually, maybe bring back. Good idea. I mean, we'll look into getting ice cream van. Seeing it's summer and the holidays coming up, so it's actually a good thing.
I mean, the one in our area did winter, summer, and spring. It's always around. I mean, it's dilapidated beyond belief. And when they stop, I've stopped it a couple of times to have one of those soft serves. Then the guy gave me a brick to put under the wheel because the brakes weren't 100%.
And it's still in better shape than some of the taxis going down the main road.
Could you imagine if you combine taxis and ice cream? What chaos we would.
Oh, there's an idea.
Talk me through how your cartoons come to life. Stephen, I know, is in the States, which must make time difference an issue. You've either got to get up early or he's got to stay up late.
Yes, I mean it's kind of he before the whole COVID thing, he used to come here, once or twice a year,
right,
just to get a refresher. I think he's coming early next year again. It's not confirmed yet, but
right.
The way it works is it's a little difficult because of the time difference. So we kind of connect late afternoon. He's in New York time, which is 6 hours time difference, and but we kind of have this rolling process of exchanging ideas and little scripts, and he sketches up these little storyboards, and so it's an ongoing process, and always having something in reserve, always seeing what stories work, what ideas, what's popping up, what could work as a cartoon strip. So, and then we kind of exchange ideas, can come from either one of us, and then we kind of he sort of scripts it up. We have a little WhatsApp discussion, and then I draw them up and send them out to all the papers.
How long are your panels normally?
How
many panels? Sorry, how many panels?
We generally go. The dailies are like a 4-panel format. 4 frames. We can vary that to as much as we like. We like to stick to that more or less because for social media we stack them vertically. While in print, they're usually in that standard horizontal format. And so that's the general format, but we can play with it as much as we like, as long as we don't break out of the space. Obviously, it's set space because of print.
Yeah, obviously.
And then in the big weekly one that we do for Daily Maverick is generally that upright. It's a general count of 10 frames. But it also has to be done carefully so that I can rearrange the frames then for the book, which is a horizontal format again, because that's an upright portrait format. So it gets a little technical and possibly a little boring for your listeners.
No, otherwise it's not going to fit in a book. You've got to keep bearing that in mind. The cartoons in this book, are they all from the past year? Sort of January to December-ish, or January until August, because you've got
it's generally one end of August to the next year's end of August. And then we go into production to be in print in time for the Christmas. So it's basically, I would say it's the third one of our COVID trilogy, because we had the first one where it was Days of Our Lockdown Lives.
Yeah.
And then we had the last year's was the family meetings, which was
Yep.
part of our daily lives. And then finally we decided to go with a very cheerful, unmasked, and kind of we needed to, and especially when we were putting this book together, things were getting rather sort of dark and grim, literally dark with all the load shedding. And we decided let's go for a really cheerful look for it and something upbeat.
Yeah, why not indeed? One of my favorites, I don't know if the viewers can see this. I always get confused with this camera because it's reversed. That is the license issue, because I don't understand. I really and truly do not understand how there can only be one machine to make licenses for the whole of South Africa. And then when it breaks down, they don't fly a technician from Germany here. They put the machine on a plane and send the whole machine to Germany. Surely it's easier just to bring one fellow with a toolbox.
Yes, who knows? Who knows? I don't. It's kind of beyond me how these arrangements are made and how these contracts work, and who's buddy somewhere and friend and kickback and nephew and whatever the deal was. I mean, for all we know, the thing's the size of a desktop printer.
And there are no hamsters or Hadedas involved.
No. That cartoon was unbelievably difficult to figure out how to work, and there you go, technical, because it had to work in frames. And it couldn't be like one of those, I can't remember what his name is. You get those old cartoons where you have these incredibly difficult machines and it ends up, there's a chicken laying an egg, etc. And then
I know who you do. The guy that used to write for Punch, who used to draw for Punch.
Yes. Yeah. So those were like one image, but we couldn't do that. It had to go into consecutive frames. So it was quite a job, and because it has to be silly, but also in a bizarre way, it has to make sense. It has to work.
Did you ever, or have you ever sat down? Do you remember those little drawings that we did as kids, little stick people on the corner of a book, and then when you flip through the book, they tend to move and do stuff?
Yes, those little animation things. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe you can do those, or when you next do a book like this, put those in the corners so that people get annual and a little flip book at the same time. Two for the price.
Making extra work here.
I'll send you the invoice for ideas. So now that that's out of the way, what we didn't say is the book, people, is published by Jacana.
Yes.
We've got to say that. It's in my contract. But it's probably in yours as well, and we almost forgot. Now that this is to bed and out of the way, do things slow down for Madam and Eve sort of through December and January, or are they hectically preparing Christmas fair and New Year's Eve parties now that we can have them?
Yes, true. Things slow down a little bit. I mean, the school holidays for the characters, Tandy's on school holidays. Grandma Anderson is and then the sort of the Christmas thing slow down a little bit, because also the publication rate of publications take a break these days and all that kind of stuff. And then we sort of see what the new year will bring.
I have to say that Tandy's become one of my favorite characters. That young lady is getting really sharp, Rico.
It's ours as well. I mean, it allows us to, that kind of relationship between her and the Grandma Anderson, and that just that sort of generational relationship.
Yeah.
Or double generational gap. It's generational chasm, as we would say. And then and then it's a sort of a fresh look at things, and it's not too cynical, and we like it. I mean, we would probably should actually rename the cartoon strip because the original main characters are kind of like taking the backseat.
Yeah, but I suppose it's just one of those things. It's like Granny Anderson hasn't aged that much, satirists and cartoonists don't really kill off main characters. Granny should have been long dead, probably, given the age she started off at.
She was 30 years ago.
Tandy
should be like in her 30s, should be like 36 by now or something.
Exactly. They talk about reincarnation and what you'd like to come back as. I'd like to come back as one of your cartoon characters, because then I've never aged.
We did there's a I don't know if it's in the book already, or there's a little series where Mother Anderson has a little dream thing and she time travels into the future. And then she actually runs into a grown-up Tandy who's now the public protector, which was quite nice. And trying to envisage what characters would look like, you know, when they're old.
But I seem to remember that because load shedding was still around.
Yes, and yes, of course it was.
Why would you kill off a main character?
Exactly. Oh, no, load shedding has become a character. That's actually a good point.
It has in all of our lives, and how quickly we tend to, you know, I came home last night. We have solar power, so if there's load shedding, it doesn't really affect us. But there was an outage pre-load shedding. So my neighbor gets hold of me, do you have electricity? Mains power. And I go, yeah. Yes. Oh, no, I don't have. And then, of course, social media picks up on it and goes, yes. You know, is anybody else out in the suburb type of thing? And you want to go, no, it's only you. Make them really worry.
Yeah, level 9 smugness. We did a cartoon about it.
Exactly. That's a great one.
I mean, you get these things where, I mean, we've had it where, you know, that there's a planned outage, they're fixing the local substation, yes. Which is, we should be grateful for, that actually fixing something in Joburg. You know, and then the power comes back, then it trips, and there's an outage. They put it back on, and 15 minutes later, there's load shedding. So,
or what happened with my neighbor next door, the power, what do they call themselves? City Power arrived to fix a problem, but it's during load shedding, so they don't know if there's power. The guy says, we're here, but we can't fix anything. So why did you bother? Go to a suburb to be useful.
Real life's funnier than our cartoon strips can be sometimes.
I think it is. You know, the local knock and drop newspaper did an article. They spent a day with these guys from the electricity city power, going around and seeing how well they conduct themselves. And I'm going, yeah, this is really a puff piece. Who paid you to write this? Because this is not real. This is not the real word. Read Unmasked. Read any one of the Madam and Eve cartoons that revolve around load shedding. The book is called Unmasked. It's published by Jacana. Is it available already, Rico? I know that I have an advanced copy.
Yes, it's in all the bookstores, online. Everybody has them. Loot, all the online, and you can order online from Jacana as well. It's using books. Everybody's got them. For international, it takes a while to get into the system for the international.
Obviously. I think it's time you and I met for another cup of coffee, because I want you to sign my book like you did for me last year.
I'm eminently bribable.
I've learned that the check is in the post, as they used to say. I don't know what the modern day equivalent would be. The EFT is being processed as we speak.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know anybody. No, I haven't issued, received, or made out a check probably in 2 decades. I don't think.
I don't think the banks accept checks anymore.
They do, because
do they?
A couple of years ago, I got a check sent to some small royalty thing from America.
Right. And the cash.
It was worth $12, and it would have cost me more to actually.
Hey, listen, they could pay, at the exchange rate currently, they could probably pay your mortgage. Don't knock it.
Yeah, no, but they're just depositing and processing the forex would cost me more.
Just on that note, if I may, what is the getting royalties from foreign countries? Obviously, you do. If you're sending your stuff overseas, where's the strangest place that you've received royalties from that you weren't expecting?
I actually don't know. Because I don't, you know, if it happens, and this was for something I did as a freelancer for an American publication. Okay. So you know, any royalty sense would go through Jacana. So I don't actually, you know, I wouldn't know. You know, I mean, I'd be very interested to see like Easter Island or somewhere or something.
Well, yeah, that would be, because when I started my travel blog, one of my first readers was in Guam, and Guam is an American naval base in the Pacific, and I thought, who is reading about South African game lodges in Guam? I never found out, but there the stats were.
Yes, I mean, social media is wonderful in that respect. I mean, firstly, you know, that you know, it's a cesspit, but at the same time, it's an incredible sort of communication and a contact to the world. And one thing we've kind of, you know, South Africans are we have this attitude that we're the only place with problems.
No.
You know, And then you put a thing about potholes, and then some, you should see the roads here in some small town in Canada, or or some guys from South. I mean, I've contacted with cartoonists in South America, and they say basically any sort of corruption thing, etc. The one guy's in Colombia, or they just need to change the names, and it works.
Rico, always a pleasure to chat to you once again. The book is called Unmasked, Madam and Eve's 2020. There we go, 2022 annual. It's published by Jacana, and it's available now. Thanks very much. Please tell Steve I say hi, and we look forward to 2023 and what that might bring for you, your pen, and his pencil.
Yes, thank you very much.
My guest today on In Conversation with Rico, who is one of the duo that put together Unmasked, Madam and Eve, the new album for 2022, published by Jacana.